name is Ryan Cam here with my brief, spoiler-free thoughts on Superman. This was directed by James Gunn. We all know who he is, and it starred David Cornsweet and Nicholas Hoult, among others. I don't think I need to do a plot synopsis. We all know why we're here. This, I think for many, and I include myself in that, is the most anticipated movie of 2025. It's a bit of a weird time for comic book movies just in general because Marvel is really struggling right now. And with this new Superman movie, it's set to be the first of the DC studio era. This is supposed to be the kickoff of James Gunn's vision for DC. And for some, that is a source of great consternation. However, that is hope for others. On the channel, I've reviewed all of the solo Superman movies leading up to this. Every Superman movie has been either extremely good or extremely bad, with Superman Returns being the exception of it just being okay. There are some that are already writing this off because it's James Gunn, so they have their allegiance there. However, for some, it's James Gunn's style that they are just not a huge fan of, and I can understand why. As a fan of James Gunn's work leading up to this point, I was very excited to see what he would bring to the table, and I can confidently say this movie is awesome. I I love this movie with all of my heart. It's not perfect. I do have a couple issues with it, but it doesn't kill my love for this movie just as a whole. First off, David Cornsweet I thought was great as Superman. I don't think he's my favorite Superman in general. I'm gonna have to give some serious thought about that. But I thought he did a great job. He brings a vulnerability to the role that I really did like. There were a couple of times where he said a line or did a line delivery where I was like, that hit so hard for me. I love that. And then there were a couple of times where he just like he did a great job communicating the humanity aspect of Superman, and I loved that. I loved the spirit of that so much. The undisputed best part of the movie, though, is Nicholas Hoult. I've been a fan of Nicholas Hoult for a very long time. He was Beast in the X-Men First Class movies like First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse. He was Beast in a lot of those movies. He was also Nux in Mad Max Fury Road. Nicholas Hoult is very good at his job. I don't know if this is his best role ever, but it certainly is in the conversation because he completely crushed it. My favorite Lex Luthor is still Michael Rosenbaum, but man, this is a close second. It may even be a tie for first. Without going too deep into spoilers, this is spoiler free after all. Basically, Nicholas Hoult just understood the assignment, the jealousy that's baked into the Lex Luthor character, but he's also a menace, a complete and total menace that needed to be stopped. And again, no spoilers. But if you're watching this, I imagine you know exactly what I am talking about. Just there's just a lot to love here. And I was afraid of some of the stuff that I did end up loving. I was afraid I was not going to love. Like as soon as I saw Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, the Green Lantern, and Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl, I'm like, oh no, they're going to overstuff the movie and it's just going to suck. But thankfully, no. They're in the movie enough to be there, but they also don't bury the lead on this is a Superman movie. And I appreciated that. They're in the movie enough and they have enough character to where they don't fade into the background. They each have their own personalities. Like Nathan Fillion brings his Nathan Fillionisms to the movie, and I liked that. Mr. Terrific, I did not expect to like him as much as I did, but I thought he was so funny on a lot of occasions. And the scene in the trailer where he's like, "We got work to do," and Superman's like, "I'm doing important things." It's even funnier in the full context of what happened before that moment. Props to the marketing department for this movie for not spoiling too much in the trailer because this trailer, like the trailers leading up to this, tell you next to nothing. There's more to this movie than you will expect, and I love the spirit of that so very much. The actors who play Ma and Pa Kent are great, and I didn't expect to love them that much. But there's a scene on a bench in Smallville on the farm that nearly made me cry. I'm not ashamed to admit that, but it was so good. There were a couple of occasions, that and one other, that almost made me cry. Like, I literally almost stood up in the crowded theater and said, "This means something to me." It just, I didn't because it was a crowded theater, but it almost, it almost caused me to do that. My biggest issue with the movie, and again, it doesn't really kill the movie. I guess it's more of a semantic, not even a semantic thing. It's more of a thing where I just wanted the movie to actually start. For like the first 15 to 20 minutes, it very much feels like setup. And it sets up various things that will pay off later in the movie. However, the payoff is incredibly satisfying to the point where the first 15 to 20 minutes almost just feels like very like it feels like a completely different movie that you're watching, if that makes any sense at all. For the first like 15, 20 minutes, I was sitting there thinking to myself, please don't let this be the movie. I beg of you. But as soon as one thing happens, and I'll talk about it in the spoiler stream, but as soon as one thing happens, as soon as that one thing happens, it's all smooth sailing from there. And there is not a single bad moment, in my opinion, from that moment onward. From that moment onward, it's exactly what you would want if you're looking for something like that in a Superman movie. And at the end of the day, yeah, this is getting an amazing grade from me. I don't know if this is my favorite, if this is my favorite standalone Superman movie. I don't know if it's my favorite Superman. I don't know if it's my favorite Lex Luthor. I don't know anything. What I do know is that I love this movie. I love I love it for like just set like being just a three act like just a complete package of a superhero movie, in my opinion. And for leaving things in a place where it seems like they're going to do more movies after this, I want to see more. So it feels complete, but it also leaves it in a place where if they do more, there's a logical like place where you can go and say, okay, this is where we're gonna pick this up. And so I loved that. Like I loved 95% of this movie. There's 5% that I didn't particularly care for, but like the other 95% just completely trumps everything else. If you're on the fence about this movie, go and watch it anyway. It is that good. But I pass it off to all of you. What did you think of the movie? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to read what you have to say. And like I said, I will have a spoiler stream coming and I'll talk more of that in great detail when I do that. And I will have Jake Collins from 3 Movie Cinema and Matt Wyatt and maybe somebody else. So stay tuned for all of that. But my name is Ryan Cam and hey buddy, eyes up here.